when I did my first startup, I a bit complicated things. And I wanted to build like a rocket ship which will fly to Mars. And I was thinking, yeah, my idea is brilliant, like it's obvious, and everyone will.
The next
love
unicorn.
it.
Did your ego come in your way?
Yeah, I think actually ego could be a right tool if you use it like in the proper way.
3 key lessons you learn as a founder.
First, back up yourself for the next 12 months. Second, start talking to your customers as early as possible. Third one, I would suggest you.
Welcome to this episode of Behind the Hustle. Today we have with us Alexander Chebotarev, who is an product man, tech man. You've been a lot in fintech, and on the latest part of your journey, you started your own startups. Tell us a little bit about what you do today and about yourself, Alex.
Hi, Peter. Thanks for the invite. So yeah, today I'm leading a startup which is focused on chargeback prevention in the payments industry. This startup I launched 1.5 years ago with my co-founder, and the key idea is to help merchants and customers resolve all disputes in a very seamless way. So without our service, typically merchants and payment service providers, they're losing a huge cost on chargebacks, and we help them to prevent them by, let's say, plugging between issuer who issues a card and typically start the process of disputes and payment service provider or directly merchant who face the results of this process.
Interesting. So this, I'm guessing you came up with this idea after spending quite a bit of time in fintech, because before you come from more general tech and other areas, right?
Yeah. So yes, basically most of my life I've been working in a fintech and banking sector. And actually I see there are a lot of typically ways how processes can be improved, additional margin can earned, or there are like basic gaps typically not solved in many regions from perspective of cybersecurity, payments, etc. So let's say it's always a field where you can do something. And yeah, I've been talking with several payment service providers, with some merchants, and they saw and they shared with me that they're having actually a huge volume of chargebacks that they face, and it hits them in a different way. For example, for payment service provider, it's important to maintain like a very low amount of chargebacks, like typically not more than 1% of the whole volume of transactions. And like if another, then they will face, let's say, some fees from acquirers, and they might be even plugged off. And same for the merchants, as long as they work with the payment service providers, they have to make sure that they work transparently with the customers and customers satisfied with their service, so they won't do chargebacks. And yeah, I realized that there are already exist some services and products that help them to fight chargebacks, but e-commerce industry, like overall like payments industry, is growing much faster than like these services can cover them. For example, Indonesia is growing very fast from e-com perspective. I believe in a couple of years they would be like top 2, top 3 player globally by GMV. US, Europe, Africa, and like Nigeria and other countries, they're growing really fast. So it means it's growing a lot of transactions with the card present transactions, and card non-present transactions actually also growing quickly. And for in this environment, it means that there would be chargebacks when customers will come to the issuer and on the reason that, for example, it was a fraud from merchant, or they want to conduct this fraud, they will start this dispute process. And typically when we talk, for example, with merchants from the US or even from the Africa, sometimes they even don't know that this problem exists, because they just have a huge volume of transactions. Then they receive some penalties, etc., but they sometimes don't even know that what is the reason, etc. So yes, long story short, this service typically is like any merchant globally will need this service or payment service provider. And today it's like an opportunity also like to use the data from Visa, MasterCard to make this process very seamless for the end users like merchant and payment service providers, and make sure that they can like
You're touching on a few very interesting topics that I'll come back to.
Yeah,
because
sure.
but I've seen it before. So because coming from banking and tech, I've seen people successful before when they're curious by mind and by heart, they start questioning why. Why is it like it is? And I think that you said that the payment industry, banking industry can be a bit old-fashioned. And now this industry is moving so much faster with fintechs and new products. So it's very hard for the old tech to keep up, right? And I think if you're just sitting with the old tech, you're managing it, you don't want to get into it. You're just operating day to day. And it's very refreshing when someone comes like yourself, like the founder of Revolut, like these two young brothers who founded Stripe.
Yeah.
They just started questioning, why is it like this? What can we do better? We don't have to accept that it is the way it is. And I feel that that's a little bit what shaped you to go after. Like you said, I saw that it doesn't have to be this way. It can be better.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, I think it's a combination of two factors. First, when I did my first startup, I a bit complicated things. And I wanted to build like a rocket ship which will fly to like Mars. And nothing.
So there's a small Elon Musk in you.
Probably not, but still, like I was thinking, okay, I should build something bigger, something that will become like unicorn, whatever, in a couple of years. That's what was my mindset when I've been thinking about startups. But then I realized that actually everything which works out is quite simple. You just find one problem, you find one gap that you can nail, and then once it's done, you can of course expand and do more things. But probably, let's say, golden middle is in simplicity, in understanding basic problem and understanding, okay, if I solve it, like what would be benefits for everyone, like operational, financial, and how I can earn. And what I see, there are a lot of fields today which might look like from the side like microscopic ones, but once you dive into it, you see that there are opportunities, industry, customers. So I think yes, it's a combination of a previous experience plus yes, my like banking fintech experience.
If I can roll you back quite far, what's the background of Alex? Where do you come from? What made you from you were young on the journey you are to where you are today?
I started my career mostly in the banking and fintech industry. Actually, it was a pure banking industry, and I was working a lot with huge banks with like a customer base like around 80 million active users.
18.
80.
80.
Yeah.
Oh wow, proper number.
Yeah. So and I saw like both operational and product side. I've been a part of building or acquiring companies for these banks and scaling it, and probably like when you go through this journey, you see all sides, like from funding such a business idea, and then like operations, all the gaps in execution. And at some moment, I understood that okay, probably I was thinking that I'm mature enough to start my own business, and my first idea was it was I think 2020 when players like Kazoo, Carvana in the US and in the UK, they started growing really quickly. They've been offering a service where you can buy car online without going to the dealership, and you can also buy a car with the lending product. So, and I saw a big potential also in the Germany, in France, because they are biggest markets from used cars automotive perspective in the Europe. And I just moved in 2021 to Germany and funded my first venture startup, which was focused on building embedded financing for consumers who are willing to buy a car online.
So this was your first startup?
Yeah.
And you had no actual experience with fundraising at the time?
Yes, to be honest, I had like only like huge belief in myself. I had some like a budget that I prepared for it, like from working for corporations. And I was thinking, yeah, my idea is brilliant. Like it's obvious, and everyone will.
The next unicorn.
Yeah, like obviously the next unicorn. And I saw like other big players, like I mentioned before, that they did the same thing. And I was thinking, yeah, it's like 2-3 steps, and we'll be there. And actually then started I started checking the product with the market, And I started also in the parallel fundraising process, and it was quite interesting. I see now today that fundraising, for example, in the Emirates or in the Europe is quite different. I cannot say anything about, for example, fundraising in the UK or in the US, but for example, in Germany, it was quite, let's say, it took a lot of time to understand the path, understand that connections is everything. Like I believe, like is everywhere. So I believe within like 1 or 2 months, I did touch with 200-300 angel investors, funds which are invest in the pre-seed stage. Yes, and then I realized that probably I have to also find a startup or someone in my sorry, not startup, but and I realized that probably I have to find some investor who would be recognizable in my cap table and who can help me to build a network on the market.
So what made you realize that? Because you're touching on something very important that people might not realize the first time. They just want money.
Yeah.
But the value of having a recognizable name, someone who can open the right doors, is much more important than the money itself sometimes, right?
Yeah, I believe so. So let's say you can name it also like a smart money. What was my personal challenge when I moved to Germany? No one knew my name. No one knew who I am. If I would do it in the markets where I worked before, then like it would be much easier because people knew my name, who I am, etc. But on the new market, typically they don't care who you are unless you worked for like some global international tech companies. In this case, it helps. But in my case, I was just an industry expert, unknown on the market. So yes.
So you had at that time, I believe, probably 10 years working experience
Yeah.
in the industry with the right credentials, but not the credentials that necessarily was important in Germany or UK.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Clearly, you're qualified to talk about your industry with 80 million users, and you really see everything from the inside. But it's very interesting how this is different market to market, right? And how it works, how money works differently.
Yeah. Yeah. And I realized that actually fundraising process, it takes time. You have like basics, let's say basic checklist that you should prepare when you talk to investors, but also it means a lot with whom you approach your potential investors, whom you have like in a cap table, in advisory board, etc. And then I decided, yes, I definitely need someone who will help me to open the doors and make the right introductions, and simply I'll add like names that are recognizable in my pitch deck so I can move faster.
But you had already tried to do pitching and so on before you reached that stage in your fundraising, right? Because what I very often see, because I coach startups in how to fundraise, right? It's one of the things I do. And what most of them just want you to open the door. But if you don't know what you're supposed to do after you get in the room, it doesn't matter, right? It has zero value. You can have the best idea you have in the world in your head. If you're not able to make them understand it or believe in you, doesn't matter how many doors are open.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared.
I agree. And I think it's also important if you touch this topic, your personal condition and how you believe in the idea and like how you can express. Because before that, I was thinking that, okay, like unit economics works out, like pitch deck is very structured, idea is very clear. And then I was coming to the pitch as like, let's say, more like a nerd guy, which explains, okay, that's how it works, that's the product, that technology, that's how it starts. But let's say I didn't bring much soul or passion. That I realized later that human factor sometimes even much more important, especially on the early stage. So you should typically show that you are having this passion about the product. You believe it's the right choice to invest your like next 3, 5, 7 years into this industry, into this product. And this is something human. Yes, numbers, everything is should be okay, but this one is very important part.
Yeah, you need to know your numbers, but every experienced investor knows the second you go live, that number is going to change anyway. They need to believe in you, that you're clear about your story and they need to understand what you're selling. Because also I've seen a lot of technical founders that become very technical in their pitch. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you pitched a technical product yourself, but I've seen it a lot that, well, they become so technical that they forget talking about the idea, but they forget bringing the passion. And I've seen investors, they don't really question if your tech works.
Mm-hmm.
They will due diligence that later. If they believe in you, they will send someone like, we need to check your tech. Alex, we need to check that you know that your stack is good and that you're doing it the correct thing and we believe in it. But that's not what they want to hear in the pitch. So if you become very technical, you already kind of lost the battle, right?
Yeah, I think sometimes it might be a match, like a technical partner from the fund perspective and such.
If you get lucky, yeah.
Yeah. But yes, I think you should be, first of all, you should be yourself confident in what you do, like 100% or 200%, and then people will read it. And even like if you will have to do some pivots, etc., probably you should be confident that you will able to find out the right moment when pivot needs to be done, and you will drive it, and you will drive your team. So I think it's important to show your also like potential capacity for changes. They will happen because you are pre-seed stage. There will be a lot of changes happen on the market, technology, regulations, and you should always show this also side that yes, you can oversee it. There might be risks, changes, challenges with a team, with other co-founder if he's in that team. So it's important to give this also, let's say, not to give, but to share that how you feel it and how you can manage these things.
So you've done something interesting also in Germany, I believe. You went through the TechStars program.
Yes, so I was talking about...
First and foremost, if you can, for those who doesn't know, what is TechStars?
Yeah.
And what do they do for you?
Yeah, so TechStars, it's an accelerator from the US, which works across the world. It's mostly pre-seed stage accelerator, which is focused on typically tech or tech-related industries. And they help founders to structure idea, structure product. For example, for some founders which do not have product or tech-related experience, they also bring some experts which help to structure and figure out what you do and how you do. But I think the main thing is that they also help you with connections. So if you're going through the TechStars, once you typically connected with all other offices, with all the team and all advisors of the TechStars, so it really helps. So that's why we've been focusing on the TechStars to pass through, because it ended up for me, they opened a lot of doors for us, and I built a very good advisory board from the industry, from ex N26, ex McKinsey, ex other players in a fintech and banking. That's what I needed. So yes, they provide you with some funding, etc. But I believe the key thing it's a name that can open doors. It can provide you with whatever you need, for example, new partnerships or potentially clients.
What did you have to do? What was the journey to qualify for becoming a TechStar alumni to be in their program? Because they don't accept everybody.
Yes, actually, it was quite competitive, as I found out when we passed through. It was around 7,000 applications for 13, let's say, open slots for the program. And it was, I think it was at least 5 or 6 calls with different TechStars advisors or decision makers, which have been looking at how we act as a team, what is the product, what is the logic behind. But I think I'm confident that they've been mostly looking at the founders and at the team, like how team is collaborated, motivated, etc. Because again, it's like pre-seed. Everything can change in the next day. It was also some group calls and some calls with where participated other founders. I believe it might change a bit in the past years, but in the end of the day, you're just going through the funnel. It's quite intense, fast. They ask you a lot of questions. They try to evaluate you from the perspective of a personal perspective, like a business, product, operations, how you see it potentially in the next couple of years. And so just trying to understand, okay, will this person probably deliver what he plans, or make sure that he's pivoting in the right direction.
So out of 7,000 applicants, you were one of 13 or 30?
13. 13.
One of 13 that it shows in this. They do one a year or something like that, right? So, bravo, well done for you. This was for the German car financing.
Yeah.
Correct. Is that company still operating today?
So at some
because that was your first startup, but I know you've done more things after.
Yeah, so we've been working this startup for the 2 years. At some moment we stopped operations and we decided to review the way how we work. And actually our model was a lot focused on integrating with the banks. And it brought us, for me, one more important lesson that when you want to try and test your model, try to make it as light as possible. Like, for example, we had to make integrations with the banks who will provide us with the liquidity, align with them on the risk models, etc. And in our case, it took like in 2021, 22, I think like 6-7 months just to align with them. So it was quite slow. And when we did a soft launch, we tested it, and then we won some point out of cash, and we decided to make a pause because our model would become profitable like in 6-7 months, but we didn't have this window after many pivots. So we paused the business, we saved the technology, which later we plan to reuse in the UAE, and for now, company still exists, but operationally it's not live yet. So
it's very interesting also because just qualifying out of 7,000 applicants down to 13, it's not an automatic success. To be an entrepreneur, it's still a grind. There's still all the challenges you have to deal with. And no matter what you put in the market, you don't know until you put it live if it's going to work, what you have to deal with. And you sound like... So what was the darkest moment of that journey with that company? What the darkest moments usually teaches you the most? What would have been the one weekend when you were like, oof, what am I doing?
Well, actually, it was a lot of challenges and decisions which I might do it differently, like today. From the idea like how we set up the product, as I said before, like making like less dependable on regulators, on big partners which can slow you down, to the way how you like build like all your operations and iterations. So, for example, we started from building a product first, even before talking to some clients, because we've been like 100% sure that our experience like from other markets will apply there. Then we started talking to the customers and we saw that we have to rebuild like 30-40% of the product, make things different, etc.
So I'm assuming your next startup, you started with talking to the customer first.
I'll tell later, but we actually raised even from the almost like first customers because they like the product. So and in the end of the day, there are many things that I would do different. It was a really good experience, and I'm really grateful to also Techstars team and our advisory board because they've been helping us along all the way. And what I value that they've been understanding that the guys are doing like a startup on the early stage, and many things can happen. What else? I think it's important also to make sure that you are backed up, like personally, like your family backed up with some cash and the team, like at least for the next 12 months. Because when you invest most of your cash into the company and then you have still to survive, etc., then it's also mentally hard. And I saw some founders like it was really hard for them to find these situations. So I believe there could be many challenges, but I think most important thing is what's your perception of what's going on with you. If your perception that, for example, okay, you went through the accelerator, you raised some money, but you didn't build unicorn, some people can have a, let's say, understanding, okay, they failed. And I had some problem also with this, like when it didn't work out in the way that I wanted at first. I was started like thinking, okay, maybe like I should back to the industry. I should start like continue a career, like a corporate career, because it didn't work out. I did everything wrong, etc., etc. But then after some sometime I started just understanding it's just experience like any experience. Like when you go at night through the room and you hit your leg at the table, it's experience, right? You are not like saying I will not enter this room anymore. You have to enter it, etc. So I believe that's the same, and it's I believe especially when you're early stage founder without some experience, you have to understand that everything is going on with you is just to make you stronger for your success, but you have to pass through it.
Yeah. So you didn't have a doubt after this experience that I'm going to start my next startup.
I think I was thinking, okay, like why I didn't understand why it didn't work out, and in the way that I wanted, and I was thinking, okay, why it didn't work out? Maybe I am missing some core element in my head or whatever. But then I understand, yeah, it's just a path, and I was sure that I will continue this path. But then it happened like a small pause, and then I moved to the UAE. So yes, and in the UAE, I've met two founders of Yap. It's like a local neobank.
So we crossed path in Yap when I was there. So Alex was our head of B2B product
Yeah.
for a period.
Yeah.
But when I met you, you already had all that entrepreneurial spirit in you. I could recognize that right away.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Yeah, it was actually interesting journey. I really enjoyed the challenge in the Yap because I was able to apply my banking, fintech, and also like venture experience here to help founders to build a B2B part of the neobank. I remember challenges in the UAE and Saudi, but it was really interesting. And after that journey, I launched my second startup that we've been talking about. And actually, it was a good window when I didn't focus on the venture because I was able to clear my mind and think, okay, what should be next? Which company, which business I want to do? What are lessons learned? It helped me probably structure my mind. And then the idea came like quite simply, and I think it came also in a simple way because like I was in the right condition. So I was thinking, okay, I want to launch a new thing which solves a very simple problem, which can be solved like with the technology, with the data, and which should be obvious for the clients, so we can grow fast.
I really like how you keep focusing on such an important lesson. Like when you boil it down to, it doesn't have to be that complex. Find the small, simple thing. You do that very well. Suddenly you have a company, right? Suddenly you have clients. You're doing very well. And I think one of the great examples is Salesforce, who decided today Salesforce is everything. They started out as a simple CRM. They just said, we're going to do a CRM, but we're going to do it better than anyone. Then they did that for a long time, and then they started buying companies and branching out, right? People who never knew that, they think, Salesforce is this massive corporation who just does 50 things, and they always did that. It's not true. They spawn out of one simple thing.
Yeah. I think everything starts from like a small step, and then yes, it might be a very big or.
Our journey together in Yap, I think that was probably one of the challenges. So I was in Yap since before we started, right? And one of the challenges we struggled with always was that our vision was so clear, but it was so big, and it's hard to build such a big vision in an easy matter because you get excited. You want to build all the paths at the same time, but sometimes it could be better to build only one, but then you feel that the other one will lag behind, right? So I don't know if you got a little bit the same feeling when you were there with us.
Yeah, I believe if you have like manpower, capital, etc., probably you can master one thing, and then yes, sometimes it doesn't even depend on like resources you have. But yes, I believe Yap and other companies, the key target is to like for the exact customer segment just to solve one thing, which they will like when the customer will say yes, I need it, like with the Salesforce, right? And then you can add vast services, bring partners, etc. So yeah, I agree.
Did you take any? I kind of understand the journey you went through when you did your startup, Techstars, which I think is for the few people who can get in, very valuable. I don't think people should be discouraged from doing their startup even if they can't get in because the window is so small. But did your 10 years of work before this, a lot of the skills, other than the industry experience, did that teach you a lot of skills you need for a startup, or was that purely learned by doing a startup?
Well, let's say there are different sets of skills that you use when you build startup. First of all, you should have to understand what's your product. You have to conduct like a basic cost dev, like understand market, talk to customers. I believe if you work in the industry and you want to do a startup in this industry, you go through it somehow, and you can learn it there. Technology also, it's you can understand how things work, perfectly working in the industry, and I think it's also a good thing which helps you. Important thing how you work with a team. It's also something that you can learn within the industry, how you prioritize tasks, how you check it. Like some team members need like tasks to be checked like on a daily basis. Some they just come and return with the results within the week or so. I think it's also can be learned even if you work for someone else in startup, in other startup or in corporation. I think working with investors and managing expectations of other stakeholders, something you can also learn, but it's a bit different to a corporation. Sales, partnerships. So yeah, like as a founder, typically you can't cover everything. You have to bring other co-founder or the team who will cover it. So I believe in the end of the day, as a founder, you have to like a very clear understanding what problem you solve and what product you do, and then you have to have a good skill of finding a right team and managing this team. Understanding that all are motivated or all are having the same goal. Everything is transparent and fair for them, and making sure that they just deliver and you deliver with them, covering their basic needs like in funding and everything. So like short answer, I believe 60-70% of skills you might earn, and probably some of them you will earn only working in the industry before, and then you have just to shape it, adding more, let's say, focus on working with the team, with the people. I know some founders which just focus working with, for example, investors, with the shareholders, and they're having a strong operational partner. But I think it's really depends on your personal skill set. I'm like more introvert guy, and for me it was really hard to start pitch to investor, not shaking on the calls. But it takes also time, and then you're fine.
You did mention a few times about. Do you have a co-founder in your current company?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which roles are you both doing? How do you fulfill each other?
Yeah. So actually, on the early stages, typically co-founders, they might even do like all things together. But in our case, we split that. We aligned on the product, and my co-founder started focusing on product with our strong CTO. I was focusing on sales, on partner relations. At some moments, we've been switching just to make sure that, okay, the other co-founder like might see some things in some improvements which I didn't cover, and I could take like a more precisely look at what they do, etc. But I believe when you like focused on like delivery, typically one person focus 120% attention on something, for example, like on fundraising or on sales, and other person focused on the product, like operations, etc. So in our case, it was in the beginning a mix. Then we separated by functions, like sales, product, and operations.
So you ending up with the sales and the investor relations and so on, is that something that came out from your previous startup, or is this the skills that you naturally feel belongs best with you?
I can say it's because of different factors. For example, my co-founder, he's also very good in this industry, and he knows how to build this product, and he was focused on it. Of course, I brought my banking experience to make sure that we are having a right roadmap and the backlog is correct. But it was no like requirements for me like to be day and night with the dev team. So I was sure that he will deliver it, and then I was able to focus on things that was important for us at this moment, like fundraise and also like partnerships and sales, because it's a fuel for the future for the company. So
I think it's one of the most important things. You have to deliver a product, but without sales and everything else managed, nothing happens, right? And I think a lot of people forget that. They build a great product, you put it live, no one cares if you didn't do the other part. Right?
Yeah, I believe it's also maybe some kind of cultural DNA for many people, that they want they feel like it's a shame to approach the customer without like working product. But what I believe it's important from the day one, even before you started fundraising, registered company, etc. Just go to customers, talk to them, do cast dev, even do a small pilot for them, like with limited functionality, and you'll learn much more than like you'll sit and think yourself on the product, even if you worked in the industry.
And this you mentioned before, this you really learned in your first startup,
Yeah.
that you were sure the product is great. The product is great, but if you didn't talk to the customer, you have to adapt a lot later after talking to them, right?
Yeah.
And I said it before on this podcast, and all my life when I coach people is, I like the American model. They would very often sell it without having anything.
Yeah.
They go and sell, and they get all that feedback, and then they actually start selling it, and they start delivering before they have it, right? And then they build it. There is another way to do it, which is another company investor we just worked with. He has a lending company in 30 countries. I believe you know the gentleman. He told me once, he said, listen, what we do, we know the product market so well. Still, we know we're going to go to this country. We put up a landing page. We package a product. We do everything. We put it live. We run some ads for it. We see who's interested, what they really want to know. And when we have all the info, now we might go and present the product. Even though they've done that product successfully in 30 countries, they still do that.
Yeah.
They don't have the ego to say, we know everything about this market. They let the market tell them what they need. And it's such an important lesson.
Yeah. I think it's a very good approach, always to check yourself, even if you are like a pro in the industry, etc., because you never know. And a lot of ideas, they just born when you try to treat problems from scratch, not from like saying, okay, everyone, like this idea is not important because like there are much more problems, etc. So I think it's the right approach.
Did you ever, so you mentioned the first startup, you were very confident. You knew that I know everything, right? Kind of. You know that's a great idea and I'm very confident in what I do. Then you learn a lot in that journey. Did your ego come in your way in that moment? Because this is something I very often see. Some of the best founders I meet, they have massive egos. And once in a while that might block them on a few things. But you sound like you really learned before your second startup.
Yeah, I think actually ego could be a right tool if you use it like in the proper way. And I think it can give you energy and passion and break walls where others think that you won't able to break it. I can say that I'm still learning how to use it, but typically I'm more focused on like numbers and facts than just in just believing in things, at least for now. And yes, when I've been starting this startup, I was already thinking, okay, probably it's not next Meta, but it would be a company which will solve exact problem. The industry is big and market is big, and I know how to make it happen from technical side, product side. And I talked to multiple customers, and they said we liked it. And actually, it was funny thing that we didn't even had it. Like, let's say, we didn't even kick off a proper fundraising process. So a client-related investor just came to us and said they like the idea because client to talk to them, and they just funded us. So it was very easy and simple, and I think it showed me like also how the smart money works in these dimensions. So if you can raise from the investor like from this industry, and I believe if your product is good, you'll find the right investor from the industry. It's just a matter of time, of course. In our way, in our case, we were lucky
Yeah.
So yeah.
You were lucky, but it spawned from something you did because you were talking to customers, you were talking to insiders in industry, and the word spreads. It's like this is what I've learned. Like investment community, even though I don't know how many VCs there are in the world, but it's still a quite small community, and they do talk. So even if one of them might not invest in you for whatever reason they're not investing in you, if they like you, they will still pass you on and say, Alex has this project, they're doing this. This fits your profile.
Yeah.
And so I think that's such an interesting story. And good for you. I don't think most people are that lucky that fundraising can be quite daunting and hard. It's usually knocking on a lot of cold doors. But it's good to hear. But you went through it on your first journey. Getting the money the first time, right?
I paid the price in the first journey.
Yeah. You paid the price.
Yeah.
So well put, you paid the price. I want to touch a little bit on what shaped you as a person. When did an entrepreneurial spirit come into you? Like, was it already when you were working? Was it before you started your working career? Or was it something that just came along later in your journey?
It's a good question. I believe, I worked a lot in the corporations, and like on some high positions, you see a lot of politics, you see a lot of, let's say, things that are necessary you have to do, so business going on. And I found out that I'm not a big fan of playing this game, but I want to just, let me put it in the simple way, make things which earn money. And I saw that the simplest way is driving your own business. But to make like money with some multiplier, probably it's a startup when you can innovate. Like you can combine industrial knowledge with potentially other industry and with the technology. So like with these 3 dimensions, you can build some product and solution which can be simple and can make money for the customers and for yourself. So let's say it's a bit maybe pragmatism. I cannot say that I was like always thinking that I want to change the world or bring solutions for everything. No, just I see it's a simple path to avoid a lot of bureaucracy, politics, etc., and do things what you like. Of course, when you grow, I believe, and when you have to manage relations with other stakeholders like big partners or investors, etc., it's a different, let's say, step, but it's again on the purpose your company grow. And it's having a purpose. Let's say doing something that is having a purpose, for me it's important. When you like in some corporation on a big position, etc., sometimes you might lose this feeling, and I don't like to lose this feeling.
So very well laid out, a very structured and logical thinking. It sounds like that brought you on this path. But when you were going through that thought process, had you any idea how hard it would be?
No, and it was like, it was really hard from personal perspective. It was a big challenge, and I think, like, for example, if you would ask me maybe a year after the first startup, I would say no. Like, if I would have like a time machine, I wouldn't do it. But after I changed the way how my perception works about this situation, I feel like my, let's say, my skin became bolder. I just became much more practical, and now I can avoid mistakes. Still, I do a lot of mistakes, which I will avoid like on the maybe next journey or on the next step of the company. But actually, I'm grateful. It was expensive school. Let's say it was like very tough and expensive, like a venture MBA, I would say so. I'm grateful.
Well, taking a double masters and going the typical, I don't know, top 4 consultancy journey or whatever you do for 10, 15 years, it's not cheap either. Yeah. So it's just a different learning, right? It might be more brutal because there's no real parachutes. And like you said, you need to learn to grow thick skin quite early. You said something important earlier that it sounds like you had support from family and friends, because I think if you don't have that, it makes it so much harder, because very often when people go out of a long career. You did 10 years in corporates, and you go out of that, your family, and oh no, are you crazy? What are you doing? You have to think about your future. You have to buy a house, stay secure, right?
Yeah.
So for them, you are the crazy guy, and they can't wrap their head around it. But if you have that support, that helps tremendously, because there's a lot of sleepless nights and waking up and what are you supposed to do tomorrow, right?
Yeah, actually, I'm really grateful to my wife because she accepted me. She like always was my ally, and I believe in some moments, without her support, it might be not like my journey would be finished.
Yeah.
So yes, and I think it's very important. And yes, I know some founders which did even a solo, like they went through the whole journey solo, and probably they are even much more stronger than I do or others as they did it solo. But in average, I think it's very important. Maybe in average it's a wrong word, but I think it's very important that you have those who believe in you, who will support you. Because in the end of the day, when I think, okay, why I do it? Yes, of course, I want to solve a problem in the industry and such, but I want my family, beloved ones, like they're happy, and I do in the end of the day for them. So and they know it and they support it.
Yeah.
So,
if you have to nail 3 key lessons you learn as a founder that you can pass on to the next founders out there, what would they be?
First, back up yourself for the next 12 months with the capital. Second, start talking to your customers as early as possible. Maybe even doing some pilot with them, just understanding how things work before you commit like even some funding. Just try to make it very short and simple pilot. Third one, I would suggest you to see that you can launch a product or MVP on as less as possible dependencies on the partners, on capital, on everything else. It will just help you to test the idea and save your time, save time of and money, for example, of your potential investors. Just make sure that you're doing which is might be skilled and needed by the market. One thing also which we didn't discuss before is also finding a right co-founder in the team. I believe it's important to have a person that you know and you trust, and a person that you already, let's say so, checked in different situation, and this person checked to you, because at the tough moments, people might act in a different way. I was blessed in both startups with very good co-founders, but what I saw from some statistics from the market, that many startups, they failed because founders didn't go along together. And I think it's important. It's important to be patient also, to understand what's going on in the life of your co-founder, because if you feel it's hard for you, it also hard for him, and sometimes it can be harder for him. So it's let's say, very thin and important matter when you do it, when you start things. So far, I think these top 4.
How did you go about finding your co-founder for this, and what was important for you?
Mm-hmm.
You just mentioned what's important, but how do you do the process, the journey of actually finding the right person?
Yeah, so for the first startup, actually I knew person for many years, and we've been discussing that we want to launch a company, etc. So it was obviously for the second startup, I met a person, and then we've been in touch also a couple of years, and we've been discussing different thoughts, etc. And probably we knew each other less, but we had some chemistry, and we had basic, let's say, understanding, truth to each other. So that's how it happened.
You mentioned something a couple of times, which I really like, which I don't hear too often, that people have learned. To launch the product simple and with not too much dependencies on partnerships and so on, which in the payments industry is very complicated. Now I spent 8-10 years in the payments industry, and it's all about all these partnerships, everyone you have to be connected to. So how do you go about actually solving that problem? Because regulatory and all the integrations you need to be able to operate anything typically is what I see kill most smaller fintechs and startups, because they didn't realize the overhead of dealing with it, right?
Yeah. Of course, it's case by case, but still, sometimes, for example, you can leverage crypto self-custody things. Sometimes you can even do a partnership and using like EMI license of your partner. Even if you are like spare some equity for it, like if you're already sure that this setup will work out, why not just to make let's say a deal, like equity deal, when you can leverage some license, case by case. But what I see, and I also grateful to the industry, that typically in payments you can find a company, even a big corporation, you can come to them and say, look guys, I want to do something new, let's do a quick pilot, let's partner. And in most cases they're very open. So I think it's about negotiation, like human nature is to help others. And yeah, it's possible. Leverage others' licenses, don't break the law, and you are good.
Well, in the regulated space, it's pretty good not to do it, right? Because if you want to open your next startup,
Yeah,
that'll be pretty hard if you mess it up on that part on the first
that's
one, right? Good advice, everybody. Don't break the law if you want to be in the fintech space. In Trusto, the company you're working on today, where you're trying to solve the chargeback problem, you're kind of mentioning it, but how can you say in a very simple way what is your unfair advantage in the market comparing to others?
So I think in this field, when you work with the data and when you leverage data to solve any challenges, probably I won't touch much tech part, the models that we build and how we build. Obviously, of course, they work in a specific way for our customers, helping them to solve challenges. But I think it's very important is understanding in our field what customers need. And what we see, there are like, let's say, top 3 big players that are our competitors. And we see that they do not have a custom approach to their clients. So clients are operating across the world, and our product works like mostly in all countries globally. And we see that why customers are coming from competitors to us, because we are doing a very custom solution. We analyze what their problem, where, for example, chargebacks are coming from, how the process works and such, and then we set up and configure our product right for them. Because sometimes are having a huge team and they want just to save some costs on headcount. Some of them are having, for example, different spikes of the chargebacks or such situations with disputes they need to manage, and it's like typically case by case. They are having a different CRM system you have to integrate. So it's typically approach when you should carefully understand the problem of a customer and configure your system, your service, just to help them to drop amount of chargebacks, increase like efficiency of their operations. Big players typically don't focus on this. They just give you a service, and like you should survive with the service in the way you can. So I think this is like on the top of technology, on the top of the data and how we build it. Yes, it's also quite unique. That's why we received funding and that's why we grow. But I believe it's in a B2B especially, it's very important for medium size and enterprise size be focused on the needs of the company. Then you can offer them something unique and personally unique, and you can solve their like problems much better than just product which works for 1,000 other companies.
So there is competitors in this space, but you feel that you guys find this simple, elegant way of doing it better?
Yeah, typically competitors, they just focus on static rules, basic models, and they do not pay attention today to the technology, to all possibility that they can use with the ML, and on the top of this, like with LLMs. So that's what we do. But again, it's just, it goes under the hood. In the end of the day, this product should deliver a quality, and such product cannot be just thrown on the market. It cannot be just static rules, because in, let's say, in Africa, in Nigeria, rules work another way. In the Germany, France, it will be working in a different way, especially in different industry. So you have to adjust. And actually, it's this approach brought us a new thing. We see that in the industry, we solve a problem with the chargebacks and preventing the chargebacks. But we started after we talked very precisely with some customers, we found out that they are really in a need to have a product which will help them even to identify earlier, as early as possible, that their customer is willing to make a chargeback. And actually, it's for us, it's a new pure field because we already have enough data to understand the customer behavior and to make sure that customer, let's say, evaluate the customer. Will this customer behave like to make, say, commit some fraud against the merchant or no? And this product looks like will be more even valuable than what we do before because of this approach. Because we've been trying to understand what are the problems and how we can solve these problems with the customers.
And it's very interesting because you sound like someone, you like to come up with products and ideas, but when you put it into action with your experience, you don't become emotional about it. You let the data and the customer speak, which I think is quite impressive because most people can't, they get so attached to their product and their idea that sometimes they ignore the data, right?
I believe in the end of the day, we just should make sure that according to our run rate, etc., we do a right unit economics, and we can grow. In the end of the day, our LTV and other things are up to our plan. Yes, and especially in a B2B, you should be emotional about the product, but when you sell product, it should have a clear value for the client because they are having budgets, etc.
They're the ones paying you in the end, right?
It's not emotional purchase, and you should be very clear why your product is better than competitors and how you can even leverage their data to make things working much better.
You talk a lot about, as a very experienced founder, on a few subjects that I care a lot about. You talk about your run rate, you talk about time to market and things. Is this something you learned by doing? Was this something Techstars was really good at teaching? When did you come up, when did you get all that knowledge? Because this is not something people have usually when starting out.
I see. Well, I believe it went probably maybe from the industry. Yes, of course, when I went through the Techstars, we've been also raising these topics, and you should know your acquisition cost, retention rate, and other probably somehow basic things for the startup. And later when you talk with the professional investors, they will ask you and they will say, okay, what's your pool, how you're going to grow it, what's going on within the industry. So you typically have to study all the competitors and their metrics, and if they are public, it helps you also to understand better the way how they work. So I believe it's a must. Yes, maybe sometimes for someone it can be boring, but I believe it's very important. It's let's say it's a basic factors how you make decisions. Should I invest some capital into developing this feature because it will let's say make customers stay with us 2-3 months longer? If they will stay with us 2-3 months longer, how much will earn, what would be our annual revenue with them? So that's I think it comes also with experience and with the scale. So for example, now we started thinking, okay, we should diverse our revenue structure. We should have some small clients and which come in and come out with some frequency, and then some structure should come from whales, from big customers. But we cannot afford just sitting with the 2-3 whales, because if someone goes from the company, then
that's 30% of your business, maybe, right?
Yes. So and I think it comes with the journey, but don't dive into numbers at the beginning much. It will change. Just make sure that your product they're willing to buy, and then you will build up.
But because you sound like you're extremely aware of the impact of your burn rate, your run rate on decision making for the company, for example, which I think, explain to a new founder out there who hasn't reached this part yet, what is the run rate and why is it so important for your decision making?
Yeah, so simply it's like a resource, like a money that you need, that you will spend on a monthly basis. And it's amount of months that you have until you run out of the money. So, for example, if you're having run rate 11 months, it means you have enough capital just to run your business for 11 months with your current revenue flows, etc. So that's why I think it's important just to plan it ahead. If let's imagine that you did a test of the product, it worked out, and now you want to like start the company, you want to start fundraising, etc. You should know that, okay, if I'm raising, let's say my pre-seed round, if I need like 200k, 300, 500k, okay, for how much, for how long I will able to build my product in the dimension that I choose, with the run rate. So let's say your run rate 20,000 per month. It means like for 12 months you need 240,000. For 12 months run rate, you'll need this amount of cash. So you need to make sure it comes from revenue or from capital. Sometimes, for example, I see that some investors, they don't provide you with a full like 12 months check. They give it you like quarter base. So you need to make sure that you come to them and explain them, okay, I need to make sure that you guys will provide me with a run rate for 12 months. It should be well documented. Maybe it could be some KPIs. It can be fair on the early stage.
Very well explained, because it's such an important topic, and I think until you're in it, you don't know. How early is your advice to start to fundraise for each? How early do you have to be? Because I think this might surprise a lot of new founders. How early you should start fundraising? How many months do you need left on your run rate?
Well,
not if you're as lucky as you were in your case, that you just talk to the client and they come to you with money. That's too easy.
Yeah. What I can see from the industry and from my previous experience, it might easily take maybe from 3 to 6 months. So just be patient, and yeah, like probably just approach it like as a sales, right? Have your CRM with investors, your network, and also make sure that you look at it as the sales process with all the interests, with trying to outreach best people for the interests. So, and probably make sure that you have a dedicated person in the team who is doing it, because it's really hard to combine making product with finding the right way to the investors, etc. But still, I believe if you are doing a really good product and you can highlight it to the industry, and you come to the funds with a mandate on this product and who can technically understand it, then it should be easier. But still, make sure that you have this, let's say, at least 5 months run rate of your personal capital or of your previous round if you did some pre-seed.
You had a few things we talked about. You, like you said yourself, you have a quite pragmatic look at it, and very interesting with what we've been talking about today. You're one of the few founders I speak to in the era we live now, where all the buzzwords about AI this, AI that, right? You basically mentioned here and there, yeah, we have LLM, we have large language models, we do some things. What is your take on AI and how is it affecting your business today? And because you're not using it as a buzzword when you're talking about your business.
Yeah, I see it's a lot of buzz, and it's nice to see the news that some guy with the AI idea raised 1 billion, 2 billion, whatever. Probably I don't know how to do it, and I'm not looking yet at this dimension. But overall, I believe focus on the data is important, and sometimes, for example, in our case, we don't leverage much, for example, on LLMs only. For us, it's important to build right, understand what are the sources of data for us, and most of the problems, 90% of problems, are solved by ML. But I think it's also a time when investors, what I see, they quite aware how things work, and typically when we talk to investors, they are really understand industry, their mandate. Sometimes they bring a technical experts, and you won't able just to say look, some magic things happens and our agent and assistant brings you some result. Well, for now it doesn't work, I think so, at least in my industry. In fintech and payments, is everything is very straightforward. But I think it's important to learn the ways how you can leverage it. As I mentioned before, for example, like a crypto. I think a good thing about crypto and blockchain that it's going through the process of let's say stabilization from regulatory perspective, and you can leverage a lot of things now to make your business running simpler, faster. From AI perspective, what I would say that it's good that it's became much more let's say obvious for the community what you can use, models that you can leverage simply, and it helps you a lot to build like your MVP and test things. But what I suggest, just don't put the buzzwords when in the way when you do not know how exactly it will work out, and if you are able to answer the question why I should use it, which model I should use, which why I cannot do it without it, etc. So better just try to study it and see if you really need it. If you will come to investors saying, look, it's AI of AI, typically the guys who are like a professional, they will disregard it faster than you will able to explain the product and the way how it works.
Because you still touched on LLMs, you touched on ML, machine learning. And for me, when we had that shift, I remember a couple of years ago when suddenly everything became AI, I'm like, I would literally sometimes pull up a deck from the same company from 3 months ago where it just says ML. It says machine learning. I'm like, so you just changed the letters. You didn't change anything in your company. You just rebranded what it is, right?
Yeah.
Because it spawned from there.
Yeah. Well, let's say everyone is having their different ways to build company, do fundraising, and let's say have their success in the way they see it. For me, it's important to maintain like full transparency and trust between you, investors, and you should clearly understand what you do and why. And if you do not understand how you'll apply it, then it breaks trust. And I think it's most important between founders, between investors and the clients. So it's that's why I say it's very important to understand why you want to use it, how you'll apply it, how will it affect your economics.
Yeah. So I want to give you a use case. Let's say tomorrow, for some reason, you and your founder stop working on Trusto, and you need to come up with something new. And your wife says, Alex, this is we can't continue living like this. I need you to, I'll give you 30 days to figure out what you're going to do. And if you can't figure it out, we'll pack up and then go back home. What would you do? What would be your exact steps those 30 days to start something new?
Well, I believe when you work in the industry, you typically see things which can be optimized, made in a different way. I think it's just important to use your pattern of thinking and pattern like how you want and what you want to build and why. Like as I explained before, like simplicity, like small amount of investments required to test things. I believe, like for myself, I already have a short list what I think might be interesting.
I suspected you had a short list.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you exactly what it is unless you really want to reveal it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think for now my full focus is on the Trusto, but sometimes like a lot of things in the field of like new technologies, like even AI, also ML, I believe there are a lot of low-hanging fruits. And if I would have 30 days, I know what to start building the day one.
Then what would be your exact steps? You already know. You have. Most people would need to start to figure out the idea. You already know the idea.
Yeah.
What would you? I know you can't build a company and go live in 30 days, but you can be quite active in those days and set the foundation of what you need to be doing.
First of all, I would clarify for myself what is the idea, like day one. What is the idea? How I want to earn money? What would be like a potential revenue sources? Like it's like from the client or from all the some partners, etc. How much I want to earn. On day two, I would think what would take me to build a product, like how much it would cost, which team I need, which experts I need. Day 3, probably when I understand that yes, it's doable, I can make revenue and I can have a positive EBITDA like within like some time, like for example, like on, let's say, from unit economics they can become positive. I would from day 3 to day 10 probably invest into talking to industry experts, to the potential customers, outreaching my network with the idea, with a basic like one pager saying, guys, we're doing this, please invest like 20-30 minutes for us, and if it work out, we will, for example, provide you with like a very cheap service, or you can be the first customers which will have like even some free 3 months of usage of our service. And after I think 10 days, first 10 days, you will end up understanding, okay, revenue streams should be a bit different, pricing should be different, and you will do these iterations a couple of times. But I think on the day 30, you will have clear understanding if the product is not very complex. Okay, are clients willing to buy it? Who is from the client is my, if we talk about B2B, because my experience mostly lays around B2B, like will B2B customers are willing to buy it? Will they, who is the key stakeholder from the B2B client to make this decision? If we talk from B2C perspective, I think it's quite similar. And in the end of these 30 days, you will understand, okay, if idea works, if there are some competitors on market are doing this, probably if there are competitors and you talk to the clients, they will mention what they like, what they don't like, what is important for them, what it doesn't, like customization, is it important or not, or pricing. And you will have some kind of basic understanding, okay, I do this product, this is my like geos, this is my like a customer outlook, and that's what I need to build it. And then you'll understand, okay, what you can do like as a minimum basic product, which you can test with the 1-2 clients. Because if you will understand, okay, then in the next like 2-3 months I can test it like with 1-2 clients, maybe with one more technical person on your site, or there are a lot of things that you can build yourself today thanks to the AI. Then in this way, like in 2-3 months, you can end up like having maybe one customer which pays you for the service with you are doing a pilot, and then probably it's a good moment also to then start talking to investors, showing them your results. Yeah, but don't forget to relax during the 30 days because I think it's important to keep yourself not burnt, because if you like just push and you burnt at some moment, it can be like a problem for the startup.
How do you manage that personally, the relaxation part? Because now you've been doing startups for 5 years in a row.
At some moments I had a psychologist, but I ended up understanding that you should able to help yourself. So I think it's important your sleep schedule. It's important the way how you start your day. For example, for me it works to wake up as early as possible, and first typically I try to do a basic meditation, some workout, but sometimes it doesn't work out. I don't have time. And just keep watching yourself. What's your emotions? How you treat yourself, how you react on what's going on around you. For example, for me, there are some red flags. If I become too emotional, then something wrong. Then I have to pay attention to this situation and also to myself. Maybe I have to sleep. Maybe I have to be in a more better mental shape. And in the end of the day, I think why it's important, because you as a founder, you have to, your key thing is to make decisions. So yes, you have to write emails, do products, etc. But behind this is doing decision. And if you are like in a wrong mental state or physical state, you might end up not doing right decisions, and the consequence of this might bring you to more longer journey to reaching your targets. So I think it's important, yes, to remember that you are responsible and you are making the last word. So you should be prepared to bring yourself in the right condition for doing
so. If you wake up and that morning you have some red flags, you will hold off on really important decisions.
actually my body and mind works that most important decisions, it's easier for me to make at early morning. So typically 2-3 hours at morning I just focus on making decisions or thinking about the product, and then the rest day I just invest into execution, like meetings, calls.
When can we see you building a rocket ship to go to Mars together with Elon Musk?
Oh, well, I like to keep things calm. Let's just survive next year.
Yeah.
And see.
But it's been such an amazing conversation, because it's a pleasure sometimes to hear with someone who really have done the journey of an entrepreneurship to the level you have, because you know all the tools. You literally have the full set of tools. So when I meet people like you, I know that even if your current company doesn't work out, for sure, the aim is always to make it work for investors and what you want to be building. You are a person who kind of learned the skill set and how to manage your day and everything to just keep doing it. And you're probably one of those, if this works out, you'll probably just start a second one next to it anyway and keep going. Well, and I assuming you enjoy your journey that you're on.
Yeah. I'm grateful for having such opportunity in going through this journey. And yeah, Peter, thank you for the chat.
It's been such a pleasure having you on. Alex, thank you.
Thank you.
And let's catch up and see how it's going with your company on a future date.
Will do.
Thank you. If you like this content and you want to hear more real founder stories, we drop new episodes weekly. Make sure you don't miss that and click subscribe.